Hello, and welcome, everybody. Welcome to a brand new edition of the Center Ring. We are back after a week hiatus. I know all of maybe 3 of you noticed, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you noticing we were gone a week. Episode 40, if my calculations are correct. Episode 40 coming at you live, pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. My name is Tim K. The gentleman across the desk from me, Brandon. Brandon, how are you today?
Pretty good, just over here moving the needle.
Moving the needle!
Oh, shout out to Sir Stick, who was one of the 3 people to miss the show last week.
There you go. He seemed upset. But we're back. And really, you haven't missed much of our opinions. We don't bring much to the table. Except for Brandon. Brandon moves the needle. But I'm glad you're not missing this episode, because this is easily going to be the best episode ever. Because we have e-news. We actually have quite a bit for e-news today. We will get into the CSGO Valve's decision on adjusting the coaching role. It's not eliminated. Don't believe the headlines that say Valve is getting rid of coaches, because they're out there and they're lies. And we'll break down our thoughts on that. Then we will also start the show with a little bit of Overwatch ECL Atlantic Showdown. It was the first big tournament of Overwatch, so we want to talk about that, considering that's kind of taken our mantle for game that absorbs our life. But we are back for episode 40. What did we miss last week? Dota 2 Major, the International finished up, which, let's be honest, that's why you didn't want to do the show.
That's not the case.
You said you were busy, but then I was like, no. It's because you didn't watch any of the international tournament.
That's not the case at all.
And you didn't want to do your full-on report because you didn't watch it. It's okay. You can admit it. You're in a safe place. This is a safe place.
I'll admit I didn't watch it, but that's not why I didn't want to do the show last week. It was a pleasant coincidence, but not necessarily the reason why I didn't want to do it.
Well, you did watch some of the Atlantic Showdown.
Yeah,
I just watched some VODs.
I watched some a few minutes ago.
So there you go.
An hour ago, literally.
So it was the first, I guess you could say it was the first premier tournament for Overwatch. Whatever you want to classify as premier. This is the one that got people's attention. Move the needle, if you will. We're going to kill that meme.
It's going to be
quick.
dead.
We should probably slow down before we destroy.
We've already peaked too early with that one.
We can't have nice things. We cannot have nice things. But no, it was the first big tournament for Overwatch, I would say. Prize pool of 100,000, if I'm reading this correctly. Which, can I first come out here and say, all right, I don't agree with Thorne on many things. One thing that I do agree with him on, though, is he tweeted something out, I think relating to the TI, but just saying how it's a shame that esports is turning into somewhat of a unzip your pants and flop it on the table when it comes to prize pool.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. So I'm going to make a pat here, all right? 2 things. I'm going to try my best to not refer to teams as NA or EU, because I hate that. And I'm also going to not try to care about a tournament based off their prize pool. Now, the TI is a little different because that's just an insane amount of money going into one tournament being crowdfunded. But as far as like, okay, for example, we discussed it in the pre-show meeting. Overwatch. It's a new game. People are testing the waters. This had roughly, I think, peaked around 80,000 viewers during the finals. So it was popular. 80,000, that's a respectable number, right? But that just opens the door to other organizations to try to create a bigger tournament and claim that the only reason it's any of a bigger deal is because they're offering more money for prizes. When in reality, all these tournaments mean the same damn thing because there's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
Like we discussed it like for CSGO. I mean,
so I think the only reason the prize pool matters right now because actually I'd say the prize pool doesn't matter as much as people like to think right now because they want all the top teams to play. But there's been what, 3 cases of top Counter-Strike teams stepping down from a tournament because it was not like a big, like DreamHack Austin was one that immediately comes to mind because we were there.
Didn't have as many of the top teams.
Yeah, so I don't know if I think prize pool, they use prize pools like a marketing, like a hype thing, get people to watch it, whatever. But until you reach a point of saturation where pro teams are no longer going to tournaments, I mean, it really doesn't matter right now.
So in Overwatch, you're saying it doesn't matter.
Overwatch does not matter. I mean, you've got these guys playing the weekly tournaments on,
for $1,000
Gosu gamers. Yeah, these guys are just playing to play professionally. I will say they're playing to play professionally because they know Blizzard's going to dump money into it.
They're just playing for the love of the game, Brandon.
They're definitely
not here for
not.
the money. They're not here.
You can tell they're not playing for the love of the game because there was like 7 professional teams announced before the game even released. Players were leaving other games to come play this game before it even released.
They just had to get that money. They got to follow the money. This, though, it was overall, I mean, some of our concerns before Overwatch was like a thing was that it was going to be really difficult to watch because of the fast pace. Who do you watch?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. It's pretty established that if there's a good Genji, you're going to watch him. Widow, going to watch her.
Yeah, actually, I made the joke about that. I was like, Overwatch spectating rules. Number 1, if Genji's alive, spectate Genji. I swear I saw Genji, McCree, and Reinhardt like at least 85% of the time.
Which makes sense, though, because they're always around the action. So I understand that, and I don't care. I thought the observation of the game was on point. Where I fall with an issue with Overwatch is where I always have fell with an issue of spectating, and that is on Blizzard's side, where they make it so ungodly difficult to try to just follow what the hell is going on. First off, the colors are a mess. All right? This is not just me complaining. That you have a Tracer on red team with blue pistols, like the blue glow on her pistols, and vice versa. You have the defensive team, or the offensive team is on defense. Whoa. The defensive team is red. My brain just...
You can't even keep it straight in your head.
Yeah, like it's... Okay. The defensive team is red, let's say. But then the progress bar will also be red, even though the offensive team is blue. So wouldn't you think the progress bar should also be blue? The bar pushing you through the map should show you what territory the offensive team is covered with their stupid color.
Yeah. And coming from somebody that's been playing a lot of Overwatch lately, watching the Atlantic Showdown, I saw somebody bring it up, and it kind of dawned on me how right it was. When you play the game, the enemy's always outlined in red. When you're not playing the game, when you're spectating, one team's blue, one team's red. But I almost got an anxiety attack one time when like they switched to a Tracer on red team, and I saw a Winston ulting in front of her, but it was her teammate. But he was big and he was outlined in red. I was like trying to think of ways to get away from him. Like, you got to get away from the ulting Winston.
So from the point of a spectator, though, would you rather see the X-ray be outlined in the team colors?
I mean, it's hard to beat because they base the entire thing on red and blue. I would rather see it outlined in team colors. I agree with that. It's just going to be something to kind of maybe a lighter shade of red, or change what you see when you're in game to be a darker shade of red, or something that differentiates a little bit.
And spectating Overwatch in general is not the most nice thing, especially for ones who try to do an esports podcast show about it. Because the reason we haven't fully broken down the play in this tournament just yet, if you haven't noticed, is because it's very all eyeball test. It's you watch it, you can give your educated guess on who's doing what and how well someone is doing, but it's all going to be based off of what you saw. And that's because there's no way there is any type of stats in this game that you can follow unless the dude hits tab like on the screen that you're watching and you can see his medal count and all that. Now, I know Blizzard has came out and said that they are working on spectator stats to help spectators, aka help their esports capabilities. But right now, we were making the joke in the pre-show meeting that there's just some poor unpaid volunteer just
He's still in the basement at ESL,
still
like
going
with a
through the
notepad, writing down the kill feeds for the Atlantic Showdown.
For sure, he got that kill. That was one death on too easy. Okay. Just grinding away, trying to figure out all these stats that Blizzard, for whatever reason, doesn't let anyone see.
You know what? As far as Overwatch design goes, colors notwithstanding, that has to be the biggest mistake Blizzard made in designing this game. And I know they wanted it to be
people
friendly,
pleaser.
and you don't want to compare yourselves. You don't want to have a target on people's backs.
They are a people pleaser.
But if you're trying to make an esport, which this game has been pushing from day one, stats as simple as kill and death ratio are important.
Just something. Give me something, even if it's like just a post game. Like, I don't need to look at them during the game. Give me something post game.
Just a scoreboard post games, yeah.
Now, what would be really cool if they came down and looked at like the, showed who, what, and they did in early beta and alpha and all that. They did have like that type of information, and I wish you could also see like, so if I played a Winston and a Zarya, like it would show me the time length I was on or percentage wise and how long I played that hero, because watching these pro tournaments. And this tournament, keep in mind, was the top 8 teams. Like, Gosu Gamer top 8, all 8 of them were in this tournament. Okay, so this was no slouch. There was no team in here that was really an underdog as far as ranking-wise go. Because in Overwatch, I would say it's anybody's game. Considering Cloud9 pulled the most Cloud9 move they could ever do and get last place in the tournament. Cloud9... according to Gosu, top 4 team, arguably one of the better teams in Overwatch. They were number 1 when Overwatch first released, but in ultimate Cloud9 fashion, they were the top team when the game was new, and then let everyone catch up and realize it's just another team. They did it in Heroes of the Storm. They did it for North American Counter-Strike, where everyone thought they were the greatest team ever, and now they're doing it in Overwatch. So Cloud9 gets last place and everything there. But my main point was being that with these pro teams, I feel like there's not as many on-the-fly hero switches.
So I rewatched the finals this afternoon. Tracer switched. The only people that switched were Tracer, Reaper, and Genji. They were switching to or from those heroes, and it was always DPS. There was one switch of a Reinhardt to like a Winston that I noticed. To counter a Genji.
And I understand they have their flex positions, and typically those are going to be your ones that you see switching. But at the same time, I mean, if you're losing, what do you have to lose? So I feel like in Pugs, or at least in my brain, this is how I would set it up, is that you would pick heroes that complemented your playstyle, but at best could either be a bit in the sense of their strategy. So like if you were playing against a Genji and Tracer, which 99% of the time in a pro match, that's what you're going to see. Like, what is stopping a pro team from going Winston, go 3 tanks, Winston, Zarya, and Reinhardt. Those are 3 heroes, all with high health pools, so a Tracer isn't going to completely melt you. And they also all have non-reflective attacks.
Right.
So Genji cannot reflect anything. All right, that's 3 out of your 6 heroes that he cannot reflect, and you can all focus on him. And then at the same time with Tracer, you have the right click of Zarya, which is pretty good against her as far as the bomb goes. You just get it near her. You have the lightning gun for Winston. And then Reinhardt's swing, those hitboxes are so broken that she could be at like a...
She actually will get hit more at like a 45-degree angle than right on.
She could be almost to your back right by like your 4 o'clock, and you can still hit her if you flick your mouse right.
Yeah.
So I don't know why pro teams find it. Keep in mind, this is the definition of an armchair quarterback, because clearly I am not pro. But I don't understand why they try to counter the Genji with another Genji.
Well, that's what you saw the Winston pick for in the finals was for to counter specifically to counter Genji. But I think it's more of a situation where the pro players are comfortable on a set, and the hero pool is small. Obviously, we have one hero limit right now. Once you get past that top tier of heroes, I feel like it drops off. Like I think there were a couple May picks throughout the Atlantic Showdown, but it's like that's not somebody you're going to see picked on a normal basis.
So the May pick was definitely a shtick pick in the sense of it was Envious. I believe it was on Hanamura, and I believe that was Envious's pick. And like when they picked him, it was pretty understood that we're about to see May come out.
Oh, yeah,
because in the first point of Hanamura in the gates, you basically block that off, and the only people getting through are someone that can jump through the hole, aka Genji. Because they're not playing fair right now with the way the hit scan is, and I don't see how the upcoming patch is going to help her position.
They made projectiles easier to hit now.
Yeah,
so.
but
she's still
that also goes the other way around, right?
Yeah. Actually, May's going to get stronger. Hanzo's gotten ridiculous again.
Obnoxious. Right after we got rid of the Genji, but whatever. I'll sleep on that one. But it's the same thing, though. So they picked May for that one particular map, and both teams did it. So it was very clear that this is the strategy for this map. And I guess that's my point is like I feel like in early, and this is early still, but like pros are so stuck in, almost like tunnel vision, that this is the best comp to get through this map. Where try to mix things up a little bit and maybe catch them off guard.
Yeah, I mean the problem is the hero pool has such strong heroes at the top of the tiers, like that you'll always see picked. Like Lucio, always picked. Zarya, almost always picked.
Right.
You only have one position that you can kind of, you only have one slot on your team that you can kind of move somebody in and out of, one flex position. Because I mean, you're gonna have to have like a Reaper or a McCree or a Genji.
And that
Tracer.
would be the downside to my 3 tank strategy is that one Reaper could really ruin you. But at the same time, I feel like that is such heavy hit point pools and the damage that can be delivered from them. I think on certain maps that can be a lot more beneficial than a Genji and a Tracer.
And we did see the 3 support comp start
because when you're being outskilled, you're going to try to have to overwhelm them with some type of different makeup. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we saw a 3 support comp, but I don't know if that's going to last long now that Zenyatta has taken a little bit of a hit on the PTR.
What did he go from 50%?
Discord orb went from 50% additional damage to 30. However, his damage went up. He got a boost in damage, and he also benefited from the projectile change, so that he gets the hitbox basically, the hitbox advantage that Hanzo does.
And I would still pick Zenyatta over a Mercy if you're running a 2 setup.
Oh, Lucio and Zenyatta would still be ideal.
Lucio, I feel like is always gonna. You're never gonna not see Lucio.
Alone is
his speed boost, his AOE heal. You're not gonna be able to stray away from a Lucio, or as everyone and their mother likes to say, Lucio, which is wrong.
Why?
I swear to God, if you're a listener to this podcast and you say Lucio, don't ever listen to this podcast again. I don't want you as a listener. It's Lucio. He says it in the game, people. He says it in the game. But I digress. No, I would definitely still pick Zenyatta over a Mercy for the sole purpose of when Mercy's healing, all she can do is heal. It's a lot of healing. It's a lot of single target healing. But that's it. And then her damage boost is nice, but the Discord, that's only damage boosting one person. Zenyatta, his damage boost is now, okay, it's going to be 30%, which is not as good as 50, but that's still increasing 30% damage to everybody. And he can drop a single target heal and then still dish out a lot of damage.
And and it's something that's not discussed a lot, but Orb of Discord is more than just damage. I play Zenyatta in comp when we play comp together, and I will use Discord as kind of like a marker for tracers. Put it on them, and then they can zoom around. As long as they have that order Discord on, you can see exactly where they're at.
Call them out for your teammates, and you're good.
I don't know. So his utility is too much, and I also think that.
But his ulti is also way.
I think his ult is another benefit he has over Mercy, and that Mercy's is a reactive ult, so you have to pop it after people die, and you have to hope that you don't die first. That's part of the skill of Mercy, is not being the first to die. Whereas with Zenyatta, you hear somebody's ult go off, and you know, all right, I need to pop this now, and I can keep everybody alive through. Like, my favorite is when a Genji ults and I pop it, and it's like,
Nothing's going to happen
just
here.
put it away.
So, I don't know. Well, only time will tell on how the meta is balanced out. The pros do make the meta.
I'm really excited to see what it'll be once they add like 5 more heroes. I don't know if they'll ever get to that many. I have no idea what their plans are. But to have a deeper hero pool, I think it would make it pretty interesting.
You do know the next hero is going to have stealth.
Yeah.
Which,
I'm not happy about that.
No, we'll see how that goes. Normally, stealth just kills the game. Because now we're just going to have Genjis and stealth. And
the first, like, if I keep dying to an Umbra where I can't see what happened, I'm going to be like, this is horse shit.
If I have no defense against this, I'm going to be really upset. Now, to take home that tournament, though, was Rogue. All right, so that's, I guess, Europeans' pride and joy. They defeated Reunited. Envious came 3rd or 4th, however you want to look at it, with Fnatic. Envious in Overwatch is one of those weird teams, which is why at the start of the show I said I'm going to try not to look at teams as NA versus EU, because all of a sudden now Envious is an NA team in Overwatch.
I don't know why. I agree.
Literally one person on their team is American. The rest are all European. They were European like a month ago. And I didn't even realize that they made that switch over, because I knew they moved here.
Okay, they did move here?
Yes. But now all of a sudden at tournaments and stuff, they're considered North American, which is, again, why I think having like a World Cup of esports, how all these people are calling for that, it's ridiculous, because every tournament is almost like a World Cup anyways, where you're going to root for the American team in there. You're going to root for whatever country your team belongs to. So it's silly, and I don't like it. But that's the way. But other than that, that's really all I have to say. I wish there was more. There's somebody who needs to do more work than I'm willing to put in to find the stats for all this stuff. But even Liquidpedia.
I know it's there.
Oh, the coding's there because it has all your medals.
Yeah, it's there. They just don't want to display it.
They just have to find a way there. Now, after the tournament, after their elimination, Cloud9's who's this audio from again?
Surefour.
Surefour did sit down. I almost said U4. That's completely different.
That's
a financial document.
Work is bleeding over.
That's how you know I work too much. Surefour ended up interviewing with somebody who I'm sure has earned their credentials to interview him, and basically asked him a handful of questions. You listened to the audio, you pulled it, and thought this was worthy. So I'm going to give you your due and listen to it. I guess the main point is, though, when you're listening to it, we're going to discuss it, but Surefour sounds not like a team player, right?
Yeah, so the first one that you'll play is he was asked after Cloud9's early exit if there was anything that the team could take away from this tournament after being eliminated.
Which is always an awesome question to ask last place.
Yeah, so
I would say there's plenty we can take away.
It's like, not only did you ask him this question that is just begging for like a dramatic answer, you asked him immediately following a completely disappointing performance.
Yeah, I don't think our team performed exactly to our fullest like we do usually. I think I played fine personally, but I guess our team chemistry wasn't there. Things just didn't go right, and I think what we can learn from it is we need to practice more and make sure everyone's ready for these type of environments to be at your fullest no matter what.
So, I love it. Basically just said his teammates let him down. He's like, I played great. I did what I was supposed to do.
What do you want from me? I'm the DPS.
I did what I could do, and I feel like we didn't practice enough. It's
Spoken like a true DPS player.
It's like, oh, by the way, this is with the Score Esports. Sorry, I had to go look that back up. But just, and you know what? It's it's a legitimate answer, right? I mean, Surefour did play well. But I'm with you. Just when you say things like that, it's the same thing that I've talked about with Hiko, and like when he was doing those videos about how simple was, he knew there was going to be trouble with the team and blah. It's like this isn't stuff you just put out there. I mean, if you're trying to form a team and a bond or whatever and play
This is
for
stuff
each
you
other,
say after you retire,
yeah, this
not
is
when
like
you're still trying to make friendships.
yeah, and it doesn't inspire confidence. Like if what happens when our competitive team, we're garbage at this game compared to these people. What happens when our competitive team and someone's in Discord like, dude, you suck
All
this time? You're like, well, I'm just gonna get off then.
Okay, so let's not even use that example because we've all been friends since we could remember, and so we don't really get too upset with each other, and we could just move on. But I can promise you, my win ratio is 0 when we're playing with randoms in some competitive pug, and then you tell someone to either switch to a hero or do something, and then instantly they will switch to a bastion and chill and spawn because
it's just people don't respond to that
they
kind
don't
of
handle it well.
criticism,
And that's
especially
even
out in
if you're saying
public.
it nicely, let alone if you're going to say it in an interview about your team. So if that first one wasn't bad, here's another one. And this is going over.
So she basically asked him, did you guys lose because the other teams were more skilled or that the other teams had better teamwork and synergy? Once again,
Which is the same thing, by the way.
Let's just get right down to the drama part of it.
Did you lose because you suck? Or what was it? What was that like?
Well, synergy helps a lot when the other team focuses the right target all the time. Maybe our team wasn't focusing what they needed to at the right times, but I can only do what I can do and hope my team helps pick it up. But you have to be able to protect your supports or push in together at the right times. And if you're disconjointed, you're going to get picked off, and that'll lead to you losing.
So I know what he's trying to say. He's in normal athlete talk. That is saying, yeah, you have to have good teamwork. It helps. I can really only worry about what I'm doing on the field. I'm only in control of my actions.
When you get into a situation like this, when you're talking about your team, it's always got to be we answers, in my opinion.
Right.
And I mean, as like we've talked about this before, as these outsiders doing a podcast, these answers are great because it's actually something to talk about instead of just generic sport responses. But yeah, it's got to be like, yeah, synergy is really important. We did not do a good enough job focus firing on our targets. We didn't do a good enough job of picking out. He says, I can only do what I can do, and we didn't finish the right things at the right time.
Watch the film, lady. All right. Did you not see me hitting my headshots? I don't know what do you mean? Yeah. I had some pretty badass synergy with myself. And my team needs to pick it up.
He's the guy in the competitive pug that admittedly is gold in eliminations, but is complaining the entire time while you're losing because you didn't finish off the 2 hits on right. on the Widowmaker or the 3 hits on the Roadhog, and he got away in self-healed.
He is the Bastion with gold medals and kills, and justifies playing a Bastion because he has a gold medal.
Yeah.
Despite team effort and everything there. Not saying that he is the weak link in Cloud9. Just saying that's the way his answers make it sound like is it's me, and not we.
That's the benefit of being a up and coming game on a platform that is very, very popular. Because I mean, you look at some of the things that like the Counter-Strike players and League of Legends players say, and you're like, man, this has been around a while. You should know better. These guys have been playing no-name games for a while. Call of Duty, Quake, Team Fortress.
Watch out what you say about Call of Duty. Get that crowd. Do you want to argue with the console plebs that play Call of Duty? You don't want that. You don't want that on your Twitter at Brandon Inu. Let him know what you think.
You know what? I'll give $1 to the first Call of Duty player that complains at me.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll give you $1. But someone who might not be getting as many dollars, and that's coaches in CSGO. because Valve has decided to basically alter their job description with what appears to be very little, what's the word? Synergy with the scene.
That's topical.
Topical. I don't know
That
if
works.
it's correct.
Yeah,
but
that works.
It works. So Valve recently announced last week that they are altering the way the CSGO coaching works. Essentially, in their statement, their main points were they wanted it to be CSGO was designed to be a 5-on-5 game, and they felt like having a coach that called the shots and everything while the game was going on was too much like a 6-man. Like that's not how they envisioned their game being played. So they decided to X that. Some of their main points were, and I got this from some qualified writer on ESPN, so whatever, look it up. This points were they wanted 5-on-5. They wanted to improve the major and minor system in the sense of they felt like eliminating the in-game coach, the coach in their ear, the IGL coach, if you will help improve and even out the playing field.
Or as many sports like to call it, parity.
Don't buy into that, but we'll get into what we feel like. They will help new team rise to the top, which we just kind of touched on. And let's see here. Well, and this is their statement. So this is how they described it. So coaches or coaching, such as activities such as keeping track of the economy, calling plays, and general situational awareness are important components of CSGO gameplay. If a person is performing these actions, we could consider them a player. So essentially saying that the coach was doing too much, the players were playing and the coaches were
running the show, basically.
Doing the legwork. And Valve didn't like that. So now the only time that you are allowed to do your coaching duties is during like the timeouts, at halftime, and then obviously before the match and everything there. I don't know. I know that I feel like there's stronger opinions from the community as far as the fan base goes with this than there are for I've heard more backlash from people on Reddit than I have from actual players. And maybe that's just because the players know better and the organizations probably said keep your mouth shut about it. This is what it is. But I've heard a lot more backlash.
People don't like change. I've seen some stuff from analysts and casters and whatnot saying that it was a lot of people discounted or have discounted the idea of the coach being the IGL and being the only person that contributes to the in-game leading. And this actually kind of leads credence to Valve saying it's like a 6th man. I want to say it was Moses. I can't remember off the top of my head who said it. But was saying something like if you think that the players in the game are just mindless point and clickers talking about just aiming, then you're completely wrong. Well, then why do they need a coach in the game, right? Like if they can do it, and at that point it becomes like the Valve is saying, if you're basically having these small teams with only 5 people, and then you have somebody else that's a 6th person that can bounce between spectating and see who's seeing what, call stuff out. It's an extra mind,
I mean, but I don't hate. So this is where I fall. Like, I don't hate where Valve is taking it because a coach is still a coach. They're just not involved during the actual play of the game, right? But during timeouts, they could come in, give their 2 cents, and move on. They're more analysts than anything now.
Yeah.
The reasons I don't like how they took away the coaching position, and this falls back into years and years ago when we played Halo. I mean, back in Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, like you needed a coach. Because back then, well, I mean, still, but the guns respawned in Halo, and they were all set on very specific timers. So when it came down to map control and everything there, your coach was the guy with the clipboard and timers in the back, keeping track of all of that for the players.
Right.
And I felt nothing wrong with that. If anything, they should rephrase it like in baseball, like a manager, right? They're managing the team. They're not so much coaching it, but they're managing the things that the players just let the players play and do their thing. You can have, like in basketball, you have the point man. He's calling the shots and everything, and the coach is yelling from the sideline his inputs. But ultimately, it's the players who are going to make the decision on what play to run.
Right.
And if they respect the coach, they'll take his 2 cents and run that play. But ultimately, it's the ones who are on the court. And I felt like in Counter-Strike, that was a lot of it. Like how you were saying, I know there were a handful of coaches. In fact, they stated here in the article that of the top 10 HLTV teams, okay, 4 of them had in-game leaders for coaches. That was Navi, Nip, Liquid, and Mouse Sports. So just 4 out of the 10 top teams even used a coach in the sense that Valve is saying was an issue. Which, by the way, what brought this to Valve's attention is that one of the previous majors, they always do like a post-major report saying like, what can we do better?
Was it coaches asking for a computer?
And coaches were saying, it's not acceptable that I'm supposed to be trying to do this and I have no way of, I don't have my own station. I don't have this. I don't have that. And Valve was like, all right, mofos, guess what?
You don't get to do any
You're not going to be on the stage at all, so have fun.
Yeah.
And that's where this all started. So I can see where Valve is coming from. At the same time, I liked the idea of a coach. I felt like that added like the one extra element. Like look at Luminosity or SK Gaming, whatever. Like Zeus was a huge factor in them being who they were and their play style, I feel like.
Yeah.
And if you take away that in-game hype man or however they want to use their coach, like that can affect a lot of teams. I don't know though in this how Valve is saying it's going to help even out the playing field.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying about how it's for the teams that can't afford to have a coach or have somebody that can do that. This eliminates a little bit of the effect that like a Zeus would have on SK Gaming.
Yeah, but can't you also look at the same way where maybe the lesser teams who they do have the skill set, but then the stress of trying to manage everything as one IGL is too much? Maybe having their coach manage the economy would help those lesser teams.
But every team has to have an IGL, right? Not every team can afford to have a coach.
Yeah, I just think that the coach could very well be the ace up your sleeve as far as bringing something to the table as far as in-match, on-the-fly thinking. Now, like we said, though, they're not getting rid of him completely. They're still going to be there to go over strats during boot camps and half times and
I do wish
like
I think the only thing I don't agree with Valve's ruling on is that I guess the coach can only talk during certain rounds. Like they can't talk in between every round.
It says here, during a match, the coach may only communicate with the players during warm-up, halftime, or during one of 4 30-second timeouts that the coach or players can call.
Yeah, I would have preferred to see...
Why one? That doesn't make any sense. Just do all.
I would have preferred to be for the coaches to be able to communicate during the bye time in between rounds. I don't think that's enough time to have this huge, like, crazy discussion on what's going on inside of the match. It would be just to say, hey, I think you guys should run this play.
And that wouldn't be, and then they could
and then and at that point you would wait, you'd have to have people on the team that could think fast enough to say, oh, this play isn't working, do this instead.
Yeah,
go this way.
And then the place turns off their mics.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I don't necessarily argue that. That's very NFL-like, where the coaches can tell the quarterback the play, and then after...
Yeah, that's what I had in my head. And if the quarterback saw it, he could call an audible. Like, he didn't like the defensive coverage.
Call the audible. And I love that analogy of calling the audible and everything there. And I don't know. Me personally, I thought the idea of having a coach on the team almost... It made me feel like esports was a little bit more legit.
I was going to say legitimized it a little bit. It
helped legitimize esports in the sense of like, this isn't what you're doing on your couch. This is like,
serious.
This is legit. They need a coach. This is taking it to the next level and everything there. That you cannot not have a coach, and just having someone as a sideline reporter essentially for these teams. I don't know. I don't like it, but I can see where in the end it probably won't be a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like as far as an adjustment goes.
This is another thing where somebody, the global offensive subreddit's gotten riled up. They'll be over it in a couple days. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't think it will give it one major and you probably won't notice a difference. Now, at least in this sense, though, it does help every team be uniformed in the way they have it set up. Like how before it was like some coaches IGL'd, some did this, some didn't, have much input and say. Well, every coach is going to basically act the same. You're going to have to look to your coach and listen to him during halftime. Like, look, this is halftime. This is what I'm seeing. This is my outsider's perspective of what's going on here, and we need to switch things up. Now, it also comes down to respect, which is always a fun thing to do in esports.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more of the coach's role go towards analytics.
Well, and that's what this is.
Yeah, looking at map picks.
That's exactly what this is.
Player tendencies instead of like we were talking about calling plays for IGL. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Now, as a coach, you have to tell everything to your teammates
at the beginning.
In warm up.
Yeah.
Apart from that, and hopefully this speeds up warm up. Maybe we won't have 20 minutes of Hiko warming up his pistol because he, needs to warm up in Counter-Strike because he hasn't played enough. But moving on, I don't think it'll be a big deal. Let's move on, though, to E-News here because we do have a little bit to get to. First off, there's been a lot of roster moves in CSGO recently. We never really even talked about Simple going to Navi. You have, what was the Mouse Sports pickup today?
Oscar is going to Mouse Sports, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who you replaced.
So that's that. You have Automatic is now on C9 because Slemmy left. Ironically, Slemmy left. The rumor was Slemmy was leaving Cloud9 to become the coach, but on that very same day, Valve announced their coaching change. That was kind of like he was going to leave to become coach because then he could still IGL, and then they said no. But now, so as far as I know, he's completely off Cloud9. So Slemmy's saga in Cloud9 was
about a week long.
That was not long at all. The wonder child that was supposed to be just the best IGL did not work out.
Oscar replaced Nex.
Okay.
On Mouse Sports. There we go.
And just one other thing that EU does better than NA Counter-Strike is their roster moves.
God,
like
they go
Cloud9
big.
was like, you know what, guys, we got something up. We got Automatic. Like, I hope you're all very happy. And then EU's like, oh yeah? Well, guess what? Fnatic blown up. Like, forget it.
You know what?
It's done.
I mean, I guess you could say blown up.
No, well, yeah, because you had JW,
Flusha and
Crims all went to Godsent to join Pronax. So now you have 4 of the old Fnatic guys. Olafmeister is the only real OG on.
Yeah, because Dennis is the one who replaced Pronax in the original
And the reason they
shuffle.
picked up Dennis was because he played with
Olafmeister. He was very good friends apparently with Olafmeister. Yeah,
and now they're the only ones there. So, I mean, I don't want to look too far into it, but it doesn't take the
Godsent roster is the ones who went over to Fnatic. They basically switched.
But it doesn't take a genius to maybe put 2 and 2 together and think, so Olafmeister and Dennis were friends and now they're the only ones there?
I got into it with this kid on Reddit about this garbage. You're like, it could have been a million different reasons why this happened. I'm like, I mean, it's pretty clear. If Pronax left, he has a history with Olafmeister and them not getting along. And then now 3 more members left, leaving Olafmeister and the one person that would replace Pronax. I was like, that pretty much points the finger at Olafmeister being the reason why people are leaving.
Yeah, Olafmeister likes to tell people what to do, maybe too much. Maybe the other guys were like, man, we're good. We're just not number 1. That's fine. We're number 2.
Yeah. In those first couple months of 2016, that team went on a tear of just outright dominating people based on just skill alone, right? And then Olafmeister's wrist injury, comes back. They're not finishing quite as well, but not necessarily bad. And then, boom,
Now this.
they leave and go to Godsend, and Godsend forms a player-owned organization. It's very similar to Astralis.
And now there's the funniness of seeing who's invited to what tournament, and Godsend's all of a sudden like in all these invites. It's like, all right, whatever. I guess we'll do this.
Godsend's like, hi, ESL. We don't have to win a stupid tournament to get in, or best of 3 to get into the pro league.
You know, to backtrack one thing, I did want to pull one, because we mentioned just, kind of backpedaling into undeserved spots. So in this ESPN article written by some guy that I forgot the name of, super qualified writer though, super qualified. One of his things here, and it was really the only part of his article that really I disagreed with. So he says, the best 3 teams in the world don't have a coach as an in-game leader. SK is an example of a new team that didn't have a coach. Okay, first off, they did have a coach for any type of success that they were having. So they haven't had Zeus now for like a month. There hasn't really been any matches since he left. So let's not act like they didn't have one. But they said he didn't have a coach, and eventually went on to be the best team in the world, despite other obstacles, including lack of money, tournaments, and infrastructure. Hold up, dude. I'm gonna time out. We're gonna
is he
call
talking about
time
Brazilian infrastructure?
Dude, what is he talking about here? Including lack of money. Hello. The only reason SK, the organization, is even relevant right now is because of the money they were able to pay those players. So
I think he's talking about the roster and the struggles coming from Brazil and all. But saying lack of money, they were gifted tons of money to go to their first major. Flusha, famously donated money to Fallen and them back in the day.
To say that, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I need more explanation on that phrasing there. But I'm like, SK, the organization, definitely did not. Don't act like they just had this amazing struggle and now all of a sudden the organization's number 1. SK didn't do anything for that.
It makes for a wonderful story, my friend.
Just give me a break. Give me a break. The SK organization didn't do anything for that number 1 spot other than have really good timing and say the right things. What else? Nintendo teams up with the ESL for a Splatoon division, which you didn't know what this was. There were some other people. I guess maybe people don't know what Splatoon is.
It actually looks pretty fun.
It's a fun little game. You paint the level and whatever. I don't think it's going to be anything as far as being a popular esport goes. It's been out for a little bit now on Wii U. The main point of that to take away from is Nintendo's teaming up with ESL, which for the longest time, Nintendo has been pretty. I mean, even supporting Super Smash Brothers has been very low key when it comes to embracing competitive gaming.
Yeah.
What else? Tell me a little bit about this ES Force, because I guess you mentioned it and I've heard it.
Yeah,
to be honest, I never really wanted to read the articles.
I don't want to get too far into it because there's still a lot of information coming out. Richard Lewis's and Esports Observer released an article, and Richard Lewis is doing his morphine drip to the esports community with information where he releases 1 10-minute video a week, and they just eat it up, right? But high-level overview, ES Force is this giant company that apparently owns tons and tons of pieces of other esports companies, most notably being Virtus Pro. They are now the major investor in SK Gaming, considering that roster you were just talking about that struggled with lack of infrastructure. Also 70% owner of CSGO Lounge, which just recently ended operations of skin betting after
which was sad. I felt like they were one of the good guys when it came to skin betting. Yeah.
So
you didn't bet like the odds, you bet against games.
And apparently there's investors that are invested in ES Force that are, advisory board members for ESL.
So am I supposed to care? Am I supposed to get my pitchfork?
I mean,
because I don't.
People will get their pitchfork. People absolutely will get their pitchforks over this. And I would look every one of them dead in the face and be like, "Did you think it was any different? Are you
did you really think every one of these
surprised?
teams had their own separate owner?
Are you honestly surprised that the esports community that started from like this many people, a handful of people, doesn't have every single one of these people involved in the other projects? I mean, in my opinion, it should have been obvious from the beginning.
Yeah. Let me tell you how small the community is. Look at the talent for every one of these tournaments. It's the same people.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
over and over and over again. And you don't think that is the same all the way from the bottom to the top?
I mean, that's a amazing example to use because it's the same thing. You know, people want to dog on these old boys clubs, and it's so hard to get a break into esports. And then, you know, you got these underdogs coming up. And no, you do not get into those ranks unless somebody that's already there invites you in.
In fact, that's like with Echo Fox and Rick Fox, like that's, and even Shaq with NRG. That's one of the exciting things about these teams is that these are just individual investors on these teams now.
Complete outsiders. They just want to get into esports. I mean, that's great for the scene because it diversifies the people and the ownership and things like that. But think about it. The only reason they're in is because they have a lot of money and a name to throw at it.
And some interest. Rick Fox
Yeah.
legit has interest in it. So, I don't know. Call me when I'm supposed to care. Because right now, I really don't. The fact that there's an investor with multiple investments in teams, I really don't.
It hurts people's feeling of legitimacy because you wonder if having investments in one team and then another creates conflict of interest, which it could in certain aspects.
But at the same time, if you're diversified in everything,
yeah,
why? I mean, that's like stocks 101.
yeah.
I mean, you're gonna be invested into other markets.
Yeah, people are thinking of it. It's an emotional response to it's an intellectual situation.
To be fair, not the best timing when it came to people hiding information about the gambling websites, because now everyone thinks the worst.
And you know, that's how all of this started, is people trying to investigate the gambling stuff and see who owns what and who's touching what. And so you can literally thank Pro Syndicate and T Martin for uncovering all of this crazy esports drama.
And if that's any sign, give it a week and no one will care,
Nope.
because they'll still have their 1 million followers and viewers and be fine. I really want to get to one quick thing with the ESL Pro League before we wrap this up. Not so much of the performance. Cloud9 did lose for the first time tonight. So, rip and pepperonis, Cloud9.
Is that Echo Fox on top?
Echo Fox is on top. Take it with a grain of salt, though, for the NA roster, or really for either EU or NA, because these schedules are very front-loaded. Like, Cloud9 after tonight have 9 matches played. Okay? But then there are teams like SK, Energy, all these teams. I think Renegades is playing right now, if I'm not mistaken. But they have 0 played. So they are front-loading this a lot. Like Fnatic for EU is playing their first games tomorrow, but yet FaZe has played 8. Team X, which is old SK, they've played 8. So you have other teams. Astralis, though, 0-4. 0-4 Astralis. Not good.
Do you think if Astralis, bombs out like Virtus Pro did, that they'll be relegated?
Hell no. I don't think anybody's going to be relegated now unless...
Wait, time out. Virtus Pro, are they 1-0-3?
1-0-3. They earned that spot, man. They earned it. They earned it. The disrespect people were going to show them by not inviting the E-League champions. So that's... sure Godsend just appreciates that one so much. But again, though, you have G2 that's 0-4. So we'll be covering ESL. One thing, though, that I wanted to bring up. So I'm sitting there watching it. Intermissions, they have desk talent, all right? They have some new faces this year. And one guy, he looks so familiar. Like a distant memory in my mind. And I'm like, God, where do I know this guy from? And it clicked. Because I watch another one. I don't want to say what I watch, but I recognize him. Does the name Tom Taylor sound familiar to you?
Tom Taylor.
So he's a desk talent now for ESL. What if I gave you his alias, T-Squared?
No way.
T Squared
No
is doing desk
way.
work for CSGO and ESL. Now, he always did desk work for the Halo Pro League, which starts up here in a couple of weeks. And he was still around in the Halo scene. And now, Tom T Squared Taylor is doing desk work for ESL in the ESL League for
No,
CSGO.
I did not know that. I still remember like the video of on MLG. I remember seeing it and just cringing the entire way through. Where MLG bought him that like Toyota car.
He was the biggest. I loved him in Straight Rippin' in the Halo days, but he was the biggest doucher ever. Ever. Down to his MTV, I'm a real life pro gamer, and he wore his girlfriend's panties around his neck. Who, just so you're aware, they did break up. That was not the one true love for T Squared.
I gotta go see. I gotta see. How's he doing? I mean, is he good at it? Is he okay? Is he hosting or analyzing?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
Bit of both. I mean, it's a two-man desk. So he's not doing play-by-play, but he's literally...
I'm not gonna lie, ESL, I'm gonna watch some Pro League to see T Squared on the desk.
Well, you should watch it anyways, because you host an esports podcast, but...
There's too much.
You know. We won't get into that.
Exhausted. I need a
also
podcasters union.
ECS is also starting, so we need to catch up on that as well. But yes, I just want to let you know that T Squared is still alive and well. And you know what?
Gandhi is still doing stuff too. So is Walshy.
Yeah, Walshy does.
Gandhi was doing Call of Duty, I think.
Well, that and I mean Nate is still
playing.
Yeah, he's still playing Call of Duty now, but it's crazy. Oh well, and I got your Pistola, who goes by Pistola now. He's on what pro Halo team? CLG, maybe. But they're still like
those guys have been around forever.
Ever, dude. Yeah, so when I saw T Squared, I was like, oh my God, I got to save this for the show because I didn't want to ruin it. So yeah, maybe we'll try to get him on.
Let's do that.
For memory's sake, being like, bro, we like worshipped you. It was Straight Rippin', Final Boss, Instinct. Wasn't that? No. Was it Instinct? What was the team where it was like Karma was on it? What was the team? It was like it
was Carbon.
Their logo was
There was a team
like
Team Carbon.
Was that it? And it was like a
Team
tree
Carbon,
and it looked like a monster in the background. And...
Oh no, Team Carbon had like hexagons for their logo.
Yeah,
like
man, I can't remember. I'll have to look up old Halo Pro teams back in the day before corporate got in the way, before these sponsorships came.
Before MLG was the corporate.
yeah, right. When MLG was still just a tiny ass land at the Hilton Atoll. Oh man, and now they're in stadiums. How we all.
What a trip down memory. How unexpected. Unexpected.
It makes you want to watch the Pro Halo League that starts in a couple of weeks, doesn't it? It's still not bad. Halo 5 is fun.
Isn't there like dashing and something now?
Yeah, there's dashing and crawling up ledges, but it's still Halo. I honestly, the only downside is since we haven't played it in so long, you don't know the maps anymore.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what's like a...
You mean Warlock's not there anymore? They haven't made a new version of Hang 'em High yet?
No Beaver Creek or Battle Creek, whatever it's called now. Fun times. Let's just quit our jobs and play Halo again. Life was so much simpler when we would skip school and get letters from the government that we need to go back.
Thanks, Miss K.
Anyways, that is it for the show. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this is in your memory lane in 10 years when you think how much fun you had on episode 40 of The Center Ring with old Tim K and Brandon. We sure do appreciate you listening. If you enjoyed the show, we would love to hear from you on our Twitter at The Center Ring. You can find me on Twitter at Pirate Mushroom. Brandon is at Brandon Enu. If you have any questions, like us to talk about anything, hit us up. Also on our website, tcr.gg. You can find all the old episodes there. Little contact us box goes right to Brandon's inbox. He does read them.
Every single one of them.
So the one of them. The one of them.
Holy semantics.
So, again, thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, share it. If not, whatever. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Thank you again. Episode 40 of TCR is in the books. We will be back next week for episode 41. What we will cover, I don't really know.
But we will move the needle.
But we will move that needle.